All right, boys and girls, we're going to continue reading our chapter book, Mercy Watson, Something Wonky This Way Comes, Chapter 6. Mercy put her snout up in the air. She sniffed. There was a wonderful smell. There was an incredible smell. The wonderful, incredible smell was everywhere. The wonderful, incredible smell was butter. I like how the illustrator drew that so I could tell that she was smelling the butter. Mr. Watson said, "I think it's time for a bottomless bucket. Frank, why don't you and I go get some treats for the ladies?" So, what Mr. Watson is doing, it's helpful. He's setting a good example for Frank. He's showing Frank how to be nice and thoughtful as well. At the concession stand, the little man behind the counter said, "Yippee-ow! What do you know?" "Hey," said Mr. Watson, "you're the man who robbed us." "Robbed you?" said Frank. "Yes," said Mr. Watson. "He tried to take our toaster." "My name is Leroy Ninker," said the little man. "You're a thief," said Frank. "Reformed," said Leroy Ninker. Now let's look at that word, reformed. Re means again, and form means to build something, to make something. So he's been made again. He's been changed, reformed. "I'm a reformed thief studying to be a cowboy." "Well, good for you, Mr. Ninker," said Mr. Watson. "We would like several bottomless buckets." "Butter on those buckets?" said Leroy. "We would like a great deal of butter on those buckets," said Mr. Watson. "Yippee-ow!" said Leroy. "That's the way to go." So Leroy, in the last book he was a thief. Now he has changed, nice and thoughtful. Chapter 7. The smell of butter was absolutely everywhere. The smell of butter was driving Mercy wild. Where was the smell of butter coming from? Mercy thought she would go investigate. She leaped out of the convertible. She moved with purpose. Was there anything more heavenly than being hot on the trail of a true butter smell? Mercy did not think so. She trotted faster. Mercy Watson was a pig on a mission. So look at her. She's following that smell. She's investigating. It said the smell was driving her wild. Chapter 8. We have Francine Paulette and Alfred P. Tompkins again. "Hey now," said Alfred P. Tompkins. "Speaking of pigs, isn't that a pig right there?" "Where?" said Francine Paulette. "There," said Alfred P. Tompkins. He pointed at the pig that was trotting past the truck. The pig had its snout up in the air. The pig looked very happy. And why is she happy? She's hot on the trail of butter. "That," said Francine Paulette, "is the pig from Deckawoo Drive. I have dealt with that pig before." "I wonder what a pig is doing at the movies," said Alfred P. Tompkins. "That's a good question," said Francine. "That's the kind of question that only an animal control officer can answer." "Fascinating," said Alfred P. Tompkins. "Don't make any sudden movements," said Francine Paulette. She reached into the back of the truck. She grabbed her net. Look at her face. "If you want to see an animal control officer in action," said Francine Paulette, "follow me." "Fascinating," said Alfred P. Tompkins. "Simply fascinating. I'm right behind you." Doesn't seem very fascinating. I'm going to do one more chapter. Chapter 9. Mercy stopped. She sniffed. The smell of butter was very strong. The smell of butter was very near. The smell of butter was coming from the back seat of a station wagon. Mercy stuck her head in the window. She sniffed again. The smell of butter was coming from an extremely large bucket in the hands of a very small child. Mercy helped herself. The child screamed, "Papa! Papa! A monster is eating my popcorn!" Mercy chewed. The popcorn was drenched in butter. It was delicious. A man stuck his face in Mercy's snout. "What do you think you're doing?" the man said. What did Mercy think she was doing? She thought she was enjoying a buttery snack. "Get out of there!" shouted the man. He gave Mercy a very forceful shove. Popcorn went flying everywhere. Mercy thought perhaps it was time to move on. All right, we're going to stop there and we will pick up with Chapter 10 in our next video. I hope you're loving this story as much as I am.